Allison and her sister, Anne, were identical twins who were born in 1978 in Utica, New York and grew up with their older sister Amy. Their mum died by the time they were 5. By the time they were both in high school, they took part in cheerleading and were popular among the other students. But the twins, who did everything together, also had a dark and toxic relationship together. They went everywhere together, knew what the other was going to say before they said it, and they would even shower together. Although they did love each other, they also hated each other, and everywhere they went, Allison and Anne were constantly fighting physically. Eventually, they left high school and both got into yoga. In 2008, they ended up opening a yoga studio called Twin Power Yoga, in Palm Beach, Florida, which they ran from 2008 up until 2014. During that time, their business grew extremely popular and the twins were well known in their town, where they lived in a beautiful high-rise building and would drive around in matching Porsches. During this time, they would constantly be seen fighting and attacking each other, pulling each other's hair and punching the other. One day, the twins were offered a chance to appear in their own reality TV show about their lives and their yoga business. They agreed and were told by the producers to rent a bigger and more expensive yoga studio, which the twins did because they thought the show would go ahead. But the show never happened, and in the end, they spiraled into debt because of the new rent on the yoga studio. So, one day in 2014, they just up and abandoned their whole studio, didn't pay their employees or refund any memberships. They just up and left town that day and moved to Utah, leaving a lot of people angry. Now they had moved to Utah, they changed their names, and became Anastasia, and Allison became Alexandria, both even changing their surname from Duval to Duval. Their toxic, fiery relationship continued though, with their constant fighting. In their new hometown, they decided to open up a new yoga studio, but it caused them to get into over $150,000 of debt when it didn't get many customers, so in the end, the twins filed for bankruptcy. Their physical fights continued and they started drinking heavily.
Hall dated Anastasia. He recounts the awkward moment he discovered she had a twin sister.
I get woken up to what I thought was Anastasia, sitting there sobbing, rocking, topless. So I'm like, oh, so I go over and I sit down, I'm like hugging her, like, oh, it's okay, it's okay. And then Anastasia walks in. So here I'm hugging her topless sister, and she walks in and she looks, she's like, what are you doing?
He says that was his first glimpse into their strange world. With piercing blue eyes and striking blonde hair, the twins made quite a statement as yoga instructors in swanky Palm Beach, Florida and Park City, Utah. But wherever they went, trouble followed. Hall says the twins had a volatile relationship, best friends one moment, fighting the next.
They're like going at it, and I go and I try and break them up. And Anastasia stops and she looks at me in like this really deep voice. She's like, if we're fighting, you just let us fight. And I'm like, okay. Rip this thing off, just pull that off. And she went to grab that and I took her hand away. And when I put my hand back on the wheel, she reached up and she grabbed my steering wheel as I was in the middle of a left-hand turn. I almost hit the curb.
He videotaped his girlfriend's erratic behavior, which he says got worse when she drank. He claims that was often.
4 bottles of champagne. You're the one that drinks 4 bottles of champagne a day. Look at you. You're wasted. I know. You don't need me.
And listen to this bizarre threat from Anastasia.
Me again? Dad.
Do what again?
Take a picture of me again. Never take a picture of me again.
During their fights, police were even called out to deal with them both. In 2015, they both moved to Hawaii, and that Christmas Eve, they were drinking heavily at a restaurant before they got into their car, began drinking, then crashed their car into a ditch close to the restaurant. Police were called to the scene of the accident, and when they arrived, police found the twins screaming at the owner of the restaurant that they were going to send the mafia to get him, and the twins were attacking each other at the same time. Police then arrested them for disorderly conduct and for making terroristic threats. By 2016, Alexandria started dating Lonnie Dickerson and Anastasia was dating Frederico Bailey. One day, Anastasia and Frederico had planned to go camping together, but at the last minute, Alexandria decided to go with them, so all 3 of them left, but Frederico was trying to control their alcohol consumption, so refused to let them drink, but Alexandra had sneaked a bottle of wine on the camping trip with them, which made Federico and Anastasia angry. Soon, they arrived to their campsite and got out of their car, so Federico went into the bushes to use the bathroom, but when he came back out again, Alexandra and Anastasia had driven off in the car, leaving Federico behind. They were driving down the Hana Highway in Hawaii, an extremely dangerous road on cliffs with twists and turns to it. During the drive along the highway, they saw a woman on the side of the road, picked her up, had a conversation with her, then dropped her off a few minutes later. After dropping off the hitchhiker, a man was driving behind their car as they drove down the Hana Highway, and as he looked through their back window, he could see the twins punching, kicking, slapping each other and pulling each other's hair as their car was swinging side to side, when all of a sudden, Alexandra slammed on the accelerator, steered the car to the left and flew the car off the cliff, the car then flying 200 feet onto the rocks below. A crowd then formed. People called emergency services.
The twins were seen arguing in their car as they headed down this treacherous stretch of the Hana Highway in Maui. Just before the car went over the cliff, the witnesses saw hair pulling and fighting over the steering wheel.
Car just went down a cliff with passengers within.
Police and helicopters arrived to the scene, and police immediately began interviewing witnesses stood by the scene, and paramedics were airlifted to the car at the bottom on the rocks, and they began taking the girls out of the car. Alexandra was taken straight to the hospital with fractured ribs and a few other injuries. As paramedics airlifted Anastasia out of the car, the paramedic said it was like lifting up a heavy bag of bones, due to the amount of bones she had broken. Police then arrived to the hospital to speak with Alexandra, who never asked about her sister's condition. She wasn't crying or upset at all. Police had to eventually bring it up to her first, and informed her that her sister, Anastasia, had died in the crash. When they told her this, she just stared at them blankly, no emotion at all. Alexandra didn't want to talk to them and appeared irritated at them even being in the hospital. Their dad was then told that Anastasia had been killed, and he said it should have been that bitch, Alexandra, instead. He had wanted Alexandra to die instead. Police straight away started an investigation as they believed that Alexandra had deliberately drove off the cliff to kill her sister, and they found her blood alcohol level was more than 3 times over the legal limit. All the while this had all happened, Federico was still back at the campsite, not knowing where the twins had even gone, so he slept in their campsite that night and hitched a ride to his friend's house the next day, where he was finally told that his girlfriend, Anastasia, was killed the day before in a car crash. He told investigators that Alexandra had previously told him she was going to kill her sister, which made detectives even more suspicious. When they looked at the black box on the car, they found that Alexandria had never tried to brake and had accelerated off the cliff at 100% speed, and the part where she flew off the cliff was the only part in the whole highway without a guardrail and had rocks at the bottom. This made investigators believe this was intentionally planned, so they charged her with the second-degree murder of her twin sister, but before they could arrest her, she tried fleeing Hawaii, but they eventually caught her at a hotel next to an airport.
And Felicia, I've spoken to many people who knew the Duval twins when they ran their immensely popular twin power yoga studio here on Clematis Street, and they all tell me that they were sweet, inseparable, and they just can't believe how one ended up dead in Hawaii and her twin charged with her murder. This is video of the dramatic rescue of Allison Duval just after she drove off a cliff in Maui, killing her identical twin sister Ann Duval. And now Allison, who was originally in critical condition, has been charged with her twin's murder.
I don't really know exactly what state of mind she must have been in, because it's absolutely opposite of what we saw here.
The crash happened Friday, and the news quickly reverberated throughout the yoga community in West Palm Beach, where the sisters ran a wildly popular yoga studio until they disappeared in 2014. This is them being interviewed by WPBF 25 News.
Well, we love the energy. West Palm Beach is the heartbeat in this entire district. In Twin Power Yoga, our tagline is power the body, power the soul. That's exactly what you get in our hot power yoga discipline.
Former employees say the twins left behind employees owed paychecks and customers owed refunds. Surfacing in Utah, where published reports say court records reveal they racked up a string of arrests and filed for bankruptcy.
I don't know what happened. Honestly, don't know, because they were very secretive about their personal lives.
They surfaced again recently in Hawaii, changing their names Alexandria and Anastasia Duval. Prosecutors say witnesses saw the pair arguing on the side of the road, that Ann, the passenger, pulled Allison's hair and that Allison appeared to be in a rage. Then they say they saw Allison accelerate forward and take a sharp left over the cliff without ever braking. Prosecutors also claim she was trying to flee the state after the crash. Her attorney denies it.
This case involves a devastating, heart-shattering tragedy for Allison and her family.
Allison Duval's attorney says she was simply trying to come back here to arrange and attend her sister's funeral, which will be held in New York. I went to the twins' father's home in Palm Beach Shores today, but he did not want to comment on this sad turn of events in his family. Live in West Palm Beach, I'm Terry Parker, WPBF 25 News.
At her trial, she pled not guilty to her charges, but the judge hearing the case eventually dismissed her murder charge and released her. She then flew over to New York, but she stayed until one day when she was arrested for nearly crashing her car into a New York investigator's vehicle. Her blood alcohol level was tested and she was found to be 3 times over the legal limit and hadn't been wearing a seat belt. She was charged with a DWI but refused to tell police her name or give them her fingerprints. As this was happening, a grand jury was being put together back in Hawaii ready to charge her again for her sister's death. She was then flown back to Hawaii to face murder charges again. Her trial started on the 29th of January 2018 and if convicted, she was facing life in prison.
First witness. They called Officer Chase Bell.
Officer Chase Bell, please report to courtroom 2.
Come on up, Officer. Watch all the cords on the ground, please.
Can I just put this in?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated.
My name is Jagan.
Thank you. Please state your name and occupation.
Officer Chase Bell, police officer.
And were you so employed and on duty on May 29th, 2016?
Yes, sir.
At about 4:42 p.m., were you sent via dispatch to mile marker 45 and later corrected to 47.5?
Yes, sir.
When you got to that location, what did you observe as far as any damage in that area?
Initially, upon arriving in the area, there is some damage to a rock wall bordering the roadway.
And did that damage appear fresh?
That's my observation, yes, sir. Yes.
Officer, I'm showing you what's marked for identification, or what's in evidence now as State's Exhibit 8. What is that?
That's the rock wall.
Okay, and is that as it appeared when you went to the scene on May 29, 2016?
Yes, sir.
I'm publishing what is now in evidence as State's Exhibit 3. What is that?
It would be the scene of the crash, area that the vehicle came to wreck.
Okay, and you got a look at the mountainside that it came down because you went down to the vehicle. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, how were you able to get to the SUV where it came to rest on those rocks?
I guess where this picture is being taken from, I'm assuming it's from that property in which there's a little fishing trail that heads down, and then we're able to make our way around to the vehicle.
Okay.
Along the coast.
From what I understand, you had to go through a sea cave as well.
Yes, sir.
Now, when you got to the vehicle, which I'm publishing what is now an Evidence State Exhibit 2, when you were able to get to the vehicle, briefly, what kind of damage did you see when you first got there?
Pretty heavy damage throughout the vehicle, as it's depicted. The rear of the vehicle is pretty smashed. Was missing that rear passenger side door.
Okay, and what was the status of the airbags?
All the airbags appeared devoid.
And were you able to determine how many occupants there were?
Yes, sir.
And how did you do that?
I initially checked on, as my partner checked on the driver. I opened up the rear driver's side curtain airbag, observed the other occupant within the rear seat. At that point, it was determined there was two.
Okay, you were down there with another officer, Ian Custer, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And then fire was also down there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm showing what is in evidence as State's Exhibit 4. Is that, let me hold on a bit. So that's, the officer that's depicted there, is that you or Officer Custer? Can you tell? Hard to tell.
I can't tell.
Okay. But anyway, fire, were you and Officer Custer, I guess in various times, kind of like in that posture that fire was in front of you because they were trying to extricate the driver?
Correct.
It's okay. And you said that you checked the back seat, you lifted the curtain, and you saw another occupant in that seat.
Yes, sir.
And I'm showing what is marked for identification, what is in evidence as State's Exhibit 6. What is that?
That would be the passenger in the vehicle.
Okay, and is that how she appeared when you lifted the curtain back?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and did you do anything to check on her condition?
I did. Yes,
What
sir.
did you do?
I checked her pulse, cardiac.
Okay, and was there any?
There wasn't.
What were your initial observations of the driver?
She was, I guess, where she was seated. Sorry, sir.
Yeah.
She was seated in the driver's seat. It appeared that her legs or her knees were stuck beneath the steering column.
Okay. And was she conscious?
Yes, sir.
Was she able to speak?
Yes, sir.
Did you try to speak with her?
Not me. We did ask questions, but it was through fire personnel.
Okay. So you asked fire to ask her certain things?
Correct. That's we're standing right next to fire.
And were you able to get any responses to your questions from the driver?
Yes, sir.
What kind of responses did you get?
We asked her what the driver's name and birthday was. She gave us the first name Alex and her birthday.
And did you ask for a last name?
We did.
And did you get one?
We did not.
Okay. And did you ask for any identification of the passenger from the driver?
Yes.
And did she respond?
She did.
What did she say?
She gave us the passenger's first name as well as the last name, the Bell.
Okay. And what did she say as the first name?
Anna.
Anna. Okay. If you were to see that driver again, would you recognize her?
Yes, sir.
If you see her in court, can you please point to her and say what color she's wearing?
Yes, sir. Be great.
May the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant?
Yes.
Did you assist fire in extracting the body of the passenger?
Yes, sir.
And as you were assisting them to extract the body, what further observations were you able to make about her condition?
It appeared she had major head trauma. There was foam coming from her mouth, her face. It's evident she had some broken bones throughout as well.
Okay. I'm showing you what's in evidence now with State's Exhibit 7. What is that?
That would be, is the center console area of the vehicle.
Okay.
And the passenger seat.
Okay. And is that how it appeared when you were down on those rocks where the SUV was at rest?
Yes, sir.
Would you be able to mark on a map approximately where that crash took place?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And officer, is that location within the county of Maui, state of Hawaii?
Yes, sir.
No further questions. Mr. Bravo.
Yes, thank you.
You can remain standing for a moment and face the court there. Come on, you can stand up.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. You may be seated.
All right, Mr. Egan.
Thank you. Hi, please state your name.
Chad Smith.
Okay. And you live Hana?
Yeah.
How long have you lived in Hana?
All my life.
On May 29th, 2016, in the late afternoon, do you remember what you were doing?
I was going to the church.
St. Peter's Church?
Yeah.
Okay. And what were you doing there?
We're going to go work on a grave.
Okay.
Site.
Okay. So, on that day, during that time, when you were on your way to St. Peter's Church, you were driving your car,
yeah?
So were you on, I don't know what you call the road. Did you call it St. Peter's Church Road or Puiki Road?
Yeah, I guess. Puiki.
Puiki?
Yeah.
Puiki Access, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so were you coming to St. Peter's Church by way of Puiki Access?
Yes.
And which direction were you driving on Puiki Access?
I guess I was heading south.
Right, okay, okay. As you were driving south on Puiki Access, going to St. Peter's Church, was there another vehicle coming the opposite direction?
Yes.
What did that look like?
There's a white SUV.
Okay, and could you see who was inside?
Not really, but I could see people in the car.
Okay, and could you tell whether they were male or female?
Yeah, two ladies.
Two ladies. And like what race they were?
White ladies.
Okay. And could you see what they were doing?
They were arguing.
Okay. Could you hear anything?
I couldn't hear anything because my window was off.
Yeah. Okay. But it looked like they were arguing with each other.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, did you see any fighting? Like physical fighting?
I didn't see any physical fighting.
Okay. As they were coming up towards you, you going south, they're coming north. About how fast would you say they were going?
Not too fast.
It's a narrow road, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Was there anything unusual about the way they were driving?
Yeah, they were kind of coming towards me. So I had to kind of swerve to the side of the road and get out of their way.
Oh, okay. Okay. So if you didn't get out of the way, they would hit you?
Yeah.
Okay. So did you have to get, so were they driving like in the middle of the road then?
Kind of.
Okay. Okay, when they, so they passed you and continued to go north?
Yes.
And then where did you go?
I went up into the churchyard.
Okay. And was there another vehicle that was blocking you?
Yeah. When I was going into the churchyard, there's a truck in front of me, so I had to stop and wait.
What did the truck look like?
A black truck, a black Ford truck.
Do you know who was in it?
Yeah.
Who was there? Who was
Randy Castro.
Okay. You know him?
Yeah.
Okay. The approach the witness?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just showing you. Like this map on the thing. Does that? Can you understand what that's showing?
Yeah.
Okay. And can you place on there like where you were? From what you were talking about when you saw the white SUV coming past you? Maybe put your initials, approximately where you were, put CS. Oh, make them bigger.
Oh,
It's okay.
Just so
Okay.
it's good. You're referring to Exhibit 8.
95.
95, I'm sorry, yeah, 95.
Okay, thank you. May the record reflect the witness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure, can you put that back up?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, leave it right there. Okay, thank you.
So that where you put CS, that's like approximately where you passed that white SUV, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Mr. Babar?
Thank you, Your Honor. Morning, Mr. Smith. You said that when you passed the SUV or it passed you, you could see that they were arguing. The two ladies were arguing.
Yeah.
Okay, but you couldn't hear anything.
No.
What was it that you saw that made you think they were arguing?
When I passed them, because they're almost gonna hit me, so I kind of looked at them, and they were like going like this with their hands up.
Okay. Was the passenger hitting the driver?
No, I did not see that.
Okay. Was the passenger pulling the driver's hair?
I did not see that.
Okay. But their arms were up in the air.
Yeah.
Both the driver
They
and the
looked,
passenger?
like, angry and yelling at each other.
Okay. Did the driver have her hands on the wheel?
Yes.
But the passenger had her hands in the air?
Yeah, both of them were like that to each other.
Okay. And but you couldn't hear anything?
I couldn't hear anything.
And you said that you had to pull over as they went past you?
I had to pull to the side of the road.
That road, St. Peter's Church or Puiki access, it's a really narrow road.
It's a narrow road.
Yeah, just barely two cars can fit it, yeah.
It can fit.
But it's a
But
very...
if you're like in the middle of the road, then you really need to go on the side.
Okay, yeah, it's a narrow road. And where you were up at the church, you can't see the crash site from there.
No.
So you didn't see that?
I didn't see anything.
Okay, thank you.
Chief?
Yeah, Mr. Smith, you know, when you said that the driver and, you could tell the driver and the passenger was arguing because you motioned like with both hands over your head and then like turning to the side, like they were like getting in each other's face.
Yeah.
And on occasion, did the driver take her hands off the wheel and put her hands up like that?
It was kind of fast, so I really didn't see like both hands, but I could see them like arguing, you know.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty
Okay.
obvious.
Okay,
They're arguing.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Further questions?
No response.
Mr. Smith?
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you.
May I have a moment, please?
Yes, indeed.
Your Honor, the state offers into evidence what is marked for identification in State's Exhibits 42, 44, 45, 48, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 57, and 59.
No objection.
Okay. Exhibits 42, 44, 45, 48, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 57, and 59. They're all received without objection. Somebody confirm they're all photos?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
And
go ahead.
Mr. Work will give the physical exhibits to the clerk.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, may I publish as I go through?
Yes.
Please state your name.
Anthony Fred Earls.
And what is your occupation?
Police Evidence Specialist 3 with the Maui Police Department.
And were you assigned to perform certain duties regarding a fatal crash that occurred on May 29th, 2016 in Hana?
Yes, I was.
Part of those duties were to assist in the execution of a search warrant on the vehicle?
Yes.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
No questions.
Thank you. Thank you. And they stepped down. Be careful when you step down.
Thank you.
Angie's been going. Okay, we're going to take and remain standing for a moment and face the court.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Okay, please state your name.
Lawrence Yongsai Lau.
And what kind of work do you do?
I'm retired.
And what island do you live on?
I live on Oahu.
On May 29th, 2016, were you on Maui?
I'm not sure the date, but I was on Maui.
Okay. Now, could you see through the windshield?
I
what was
could
going
see on the driver's side. I could not see through the passenger side as there was a glare on the windshield.
on? And what did you see?
I saw a woman that had, it was kind of a curly hair, and I saw what appeared to be fighting between the women. The hair was being yanked on. I could see a pair of arms from elbows to hands yanking the head of the driver, and the driver's head was being pulled to the side. The driver at one point turned and fought off the arms in this manner. I almost thought it was a joke that they were doing until I saw it the head being jerked again, and then I knew that, oh, that was serious. So I was glad I stopped and just waited till that would end.
Okay. How long was this?
Stop a moment. The record should reflect that Mr. Lau faced towards me and lifted both of his arms and appeared to be flailing both at the same time. Is that an accurate description?
I was looking down writing. Could you do it again?
Yeah, it would look like this. Okay? That's what the driver was doing.
He did it again, and it's the same as what I just described. Is everybody in agreement?
Yeah, alternately up and down.
Yes. Okay, good. Thank you, Mr. Lau. Go ahead, Mr. Egan.
Yeah, how long was this going on?
I would say from the time that I stopped till the time that the car drove off was a good 10 seconds. And that's real 10 seconds in real time. I'm pretty good at telling 10 seconds.
So, okay, so you were only stopped for 10 seconds?
10 seconds is a long time.
Okay.
But yes.
Okay. And then at the end of that 10 seconds, what happened?
The driver put the car in gear and stomped on the gas and drove, started to drive past me very quickly.
Okay. Was her hair still being pulled at the time she put the car in gear?
When I was watching from the front, from what I could see in the front, I did not turn my head, yes.
So while her hair was still being put, you saw her put the car in gear and stop on the gas?
Yes.
Well, I mean, you can see her
Well, I
foot.
didn't stop on the gas, but the car was moving very quickly, yes.
Okay. Now, and were you still able to see through the windshield as it was approaching
Yes.
your van?
Yes.
And what was, if you noticed, what was the expression or demeanor of the driver?
It seemed to be very angry. I would be too if my hair was being pulled. angry.
After the white vehicle passed you, did you see it anymore?
Not when Anna was driving.
Okay. Because you were now starting to proceed, right?
As I was proceeding, I felt a relief that I had let the van pass me, because I was searching for how I was going to avoid it. If I thought the van might hit me, might swerve and hit me, and I didn't want. I wanted to have a place to escape to. So I was concentrating on the front, looking for where I would be able to swerve or wherever I needed to go. So I didn't look to the side.
When that white vehicle passed you, did it hit you?
Did not.
Did it make any contact with your?
Did not.
And that was a narrow gap that she had to drive through.
The road to Hana is narrow. There was enough room. I parked on the side. There was enough room for her to pass through. Yes, but it was close.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Mr. Brevard?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Go by that screen, remain standing, face the clerk, please.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Okay. Please state your name and occupation.
Justin Maulio, police officer.
Were you so employed and on duty on May 29th, 2016?
Yes.
On that date, were you involved in an investigation of a crash over a cliff in Hana?
I was.
At about 5:15 p.m., did you receive an assignment regarding that case?
I did.
What was that assignment?
I was assigned as a primary investigator within our traffic unit for a crash involving a vehicle off the cliff outside of Hana.
Okay. And what specifically were you assigned to do at the very beginning?
My duties as a primary was to meet the person who was injured in the crash at the hospital on Memorial.
Okay. And did you go immediately to Maui Memorial?
No, what I did was I turned on my police radio onto the Hana channel. I was able to monitor the radio transmissions back and forth between the officers on scene and dispatch. I was able to determine that one party was deceased and there was another that was injured but trapped within the vehicle. So being that there was some time, I waited at the station for I had gotten wind that they were going to medevac the surviving party out of Hana, and I would wait for the helicopter to reach before I went to the hospital.
Okay. Did you see the medevac helicopter at some point?
Yeah, I was actually in the parking lot of the station, and I seen the helicopter fly over, and at that point I went up to the hospital.
Okay. When you got to the hospital, where did you go?
I met in the emergency room area. By the time I was getting in, they were wheeling the party into the emergency room area from upstairs.
Okay. And was there another officer there that you met up with?
Yes.
Who was it?
Officer Jun Hattori.
And did you then see the party that was medevac to Maui Memorial?
I did.
Where did you see that party?
As she was being wheeled through the hallway, and they took her into trauma room 1 within the ER area.
Okay. And did you and Officer Hattori go to trauma room 1 to talk with her?
We did.
If you were to see that person again, would you recognize her?
Yes.
If you see her in court today, can you point to her and say what color she's wearing?
She's sitting right here in the bluish gray.
Okay. May the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant?
Yes.
While you were in that room with Officer Hattori and the defendant, were you there when Officer Hattori tried to get certain information from the defendant?
Yes.
What kind of information was he trying to get?
We were trying to get her information as well as try to get as much information as we could about the deceased party. We had found out was actually a sister to her.
Okay. And so was it also like notification information or information needed to make notification?
Yes, because I would be the one doing the notification.
Okay. And was the defendant giving that given that information to you or Officer Hattori?
She did not give that information.
Okay. Who was actually asking her for information to make notification?
Officer Torrey initially started. I tried to kind of jump in. He was the newest guy in the unit, so that's why he was kind of shadowing. I was shadowing him to make sure we're getting all the information we needed. But yeah, we both tried to get some information. We couldn't get anything out of her.
And when you say information for notification, what kind of information are you trying to get for notification?
In this case, we were trying to get next of kin, sister, father, a relative, to try and make notification that somebody had been killed in the crash.
Okay. And did the defendant make any kind of specific response to your questions about next of kin?
She kind of just brushed off the questions and would ask what happened. And so at some point, we had to just explain why we were there and what happened.
Okay. And what did you tell her?
I didn't tell her what happened. Officer Torrey actually had told her that her sister was in the car and had died. Was pronounced dead on scene.
Okay. And what was the defendant's reaction?
Initial reaction was kind of hysterical. I don't remember a lot of crying. I remember her eyeballs getting real large. She stared at both of us, kind of looked back and forth between me and Officer Hattori. There's kind of a lot of denial. No, this can't be kind of statements. But that was kind of the end of no real crying. We didn't get real. I didn't see a lot of emotion as far as crying.
Okay. Were there any tears?
Not that I remember. No.
Okay. Did she, at that point, then give next of kin information to you?
No, at that point she became real defensive, kind of refused to give anything more to us. We didn't get any statements out of her or anything like that.
Okay. Were you able to get close enough to her to detect any kind of odor?
Yes.
And what did you detect?
As we were trying to explain to her what happened, I immediately detected the odor of liquor coming from her.
Okay. Did you try to, as part of your investigation, document any of her injuries?
Yes.
In what way?
Just from what I could observe, and then I spoke with the doctor to kind of see what was happening.
Did you also try to take photos?
Yes.
Were you able to take any photos of her injuries?
I was not.
Why not?
She became real, I wouldn't say combative, but just real defensive as to what we were doing there, why we were asking questions. So she kind of started to back away from assisting us in any way with the investigation that we were there to investigate.
Did you eventually get next of kin information?
Yes.
From who?
From the owner of the car, Lonnie Dickerson.
Okay. And where did you go? Where did you see Lonnie to get that?
So once we kind of got to a point where we weren't getting any information from the driver, we had left to go to the registered owner's address out in Haiku, 25 Aloha Aina place, which is where the registered owner, Lonnie Dickerson, was listed on his registration for the car.
Okay. And when you went to that address, was Lonnie Dickerson there?
He was.
Okay. And he's the one that gave you the next of kin information?
Yes.
When you got to 25 Aloha Aina Place in Haiku, did Lonnie allow you into the residence?
He did.
Okay. Could you describe the residence?
Yeah, so if I remember right there, I think it was like either 2 or 3 houses on that one property. We pulled up to the house. It was kind of, the driveway kind of went around back, like a back door. We knocked on the back door. I believe there's a garage on the front, so you kind of could take the driveway into the garage on the bottom of the house. We took the driveway up to the top. We knocked on that back door, so kind of faced the back, the residence, the back of it. And then it took us some knocks to get Lonnie to answer the door. Once he answered the door, he opened the door, allowed us in. So I think what I remember was on that entry level was kind of like the kitchen, living room area. There's a set of stairs that went down, which looked like bedrooms. Lonnie had gone, at some point in our conversation, had gone back down to retrieve his insurance information and came back up the stairs. So It looked like the bedrooms on the bottom. That top floor we were on was just the living room and kitchen area.
Okay. And generally, how was the interior furnished?
The interior was relatively clean. Things that we did that I took note of was there, kind of near the kitchen area. I remember seeing a large picture up on the wall. One of the defendant and one of the decedent, they were standing next to each other. I want to say it was like a yoga photo. I took note of it just because how large it was in the room. It's kind of hard to miss. Just kind of seemed a little awkward to me walking into someone's house. And I still remember seeing that picture up on the wall.
Okay. Now, did you tell Lonnie Dickerson why you wanted next of kin information?
We had explained that there was a crash involving his vehicle, and that one party was deceased and one was at the hospital being treated. So we explained to him why we wanted next of kin. We also wanted him to see if he could positively identify the one who was still alive at this point, as we had found out that they were twins. So we needed someone close enough to them to know the difference between the two and help us out to make sure we were identifying the right person.
Okay, and Lonnie agreed to do that?
Yes.
Okay, so then did you thereafter meet him at Maui Memorial?
Yeah, he had agreed to drive a car over to the hospital and we would meet him at the ER.
Okay. Was this still May 29th?
This was on the evening of the 29th, yes.
Okay, and when you met with Lonnie at Maui Memorial, did you and Lonnie then go to the defendant's room?
Yeah, I believe by this time they had moved her from the trauma room over into like another side room, S6, I believe is the room they had moved her into. Kind of an isolated room, she was the only one in there. So once we got there, I walked with Lonnie into the room, and he immediately identified her as Alexandria.
Okay. Did he tell you how he distinguished her from Anastasia?
Objection, hearsay.
Goes to subsequent conduct.
No, sustained.
He
No,
said,
no. Sustained means you don't answer. Overruled means you answer, okay?
Okay,
Right.
so
Next
when,
question.
so did you have some discussion with Lonnie in Alexandria's room?
yes.
And did the defendant make any kind of, what was the defendant's reaction to you and Lonnie speaking?
So we were initially in the room I was speaking with Lonnie kind of about how we would, the conversation went, she wanted to be released. Lonnie was trying to, the doctor was asking if there would be somebody there at the house to kind of watch her in her state.
Objection if there's going to be any more hearsay or what Lonnie's going to say. Lonnie's not going to call as a witness.
Yeah, the objection system.
Okay. What was the defendant's reaction to you and Lonnie speaking?
His reaction, her reaction to the conversation was she, would tell him to shut up, don't say anymore, you talk too much. She was making those statements to him as we were trying to have a conversation.
Okay. On June 1, 2016, at about 11:30 a.m., did you go to the county morgue?
Yes.
For what purpose?
We were going to one look at, there's statements that there's some hair pulling in the car. That was one reason, and we were going to see if we could further identify the decedent.
Okay. Was there anything in particular that you were looking for on the decedent to help confirm identification?
Yes.
What were you looking for on the decedent?
We were told that there was a scar. There was a scar on a forehead that we could use to identify, distinguish between the two.
Okay. And did you check the forehead of the decedent at the morgue?
Yes.
And did you find a scar?
No.
On June 3, 2016, did you assist in locating and arresting the defendant?
Yes.
What did you do to assist in locating and arresting?
The The SRT team, Special Response Team, was assigned to go and effect the arrest. I had been asked to accompany them to the house since I'd been there before. So I had gone out, followed them out to the residence to make the arrest.
Okay. And when you say to the house, that's 25 Aloha Aina?
Correct.
And when you got to the house, were you able to look inside?
Yeah, we could see through the windows. I want to say it was the deck that kind of faces the front. We were able to see into the windows, and it looked different than it did the night I was in there.
How was it different?
The house looked empty. The pictures, that one picture that I remember specifically on the wall was not there. It looked like, and then some of the stuff that was on the counters, all gone. It was empty. It would look like somebody moved out.
Were you, excuse me, was the Maui police able to locate the defendant?
Yes.
Was it that day?
Yes.
Where was she located?
I remember if Maui Beach or Maui Seaside. It was one of the two.
And did you go to that hotel to assist in the arrest?
I did.
Okay. And was she arrested?
She was.
And who transported her to be processed?
I did.
Okay. You've lived in Hana before?
Yes.
How long have you lived in Hana?
The time that I lived up there, probably between Hana and Kenai over a span of 5 or 6 years, 10 years until early adulthood.
And you were also assigned as a police officer out there?
I was not assigned out there at any time.
Okay. Having lived out there, you're familiar with the Hana area and with the road?
Yes, sir.
You did go, as part of your investigation, you visited the point on the road where the SUV went over the cliff, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Can you briefly describe that area where it went over the cliff?
Yeah, so that area there, it's barely big enough for 2 cars to pass. It's kind of a tight area. So if you're going from Hana town towards Kaupo,
going south.
Yeah, south. As you're traveling on that road, slight incline, kind of comes around a right bend. As you get up, there's a slight left turn where it kind of straightens out, and then just past that, there's kind of a hard right, and then it continues on towards, like I said, south of Hana, towards Kaupo.
Okay. And the spot that the SUV went over the cliff, can you describe that spot?
Sure. On the Makai side or the ocean side, there's at the time there's like a dirt berm covered, it's overgrown with grass. And then there's a start of a rock wall, 8 feet high. That rock wall kind of extended southbound towards the Kaupo direction. Not sure how long it goes, but that area that went off was just the beginning part of that wall and that dirt berm.
Okay. And on the other side, there's also a rock wall?
The other side?
The other side of the berm. You talked about the beginning of the wall on one side. Was there another stone wall on the other side of the berm?
Yeah, so on the north side, the more Hana town side, there's the wall comes and it ends. There's a dirt berm and then it picks up again where it continues.
Okay. Approximately how wide is the space between the 2 rock wall ends?
Between the two, maybe 60 feet or so, 50, 60 feet.
And that about 60 feet is basically dirt.
It's a dirt berm that's covered with like vegetation and grass.
Okay. Is there any other spot where there's a break in the stone wall?
The projection foundation sustained.
Okay. You're familiar with that road, is that correct?
Yes.
And
which road are you talking about?
Okay, which road are we talking about where it went over the cliff?
Okay. No, I just want to put, because that's milepost marker 47.5 from the other testimony, so we're at 47.5 miles of Hana Highway. What part of Hana Highway are we talking about? You asked them, are there any other parts to the road? There are many parts to the road. Let's get it specific to this area.
Okay, can you locate the spot where the car went over the cliff?
Can I locate it?
Yeah, can you describe the location so that we can?
Yeah, this is about milepost marker 47.5 on Hana Highway.
Okay, and at mile? post marker 47.5, that's where that break in the wall is that you described?
Correct.
Okay. Is there any other break in that wall up and down that road?
Objection. Foundation. Vague.
Yes, sustained.
You're talking about the cliff at mile marker 47.5. What is the name of that road?
It's on highway.
Other than at mile marker 47.5, well, you're familiar with that road for many miles north and south of mile marker 47.5.
That's correct.
Is there any other break in that stone wall besides at 47.5?
Objection. Foundation. He's asking for, what, 60 miles of highway?
Exactly. Sustained.
Within 5 miles of 47.5, is there a break in the wall?
Objection. Foundation.
Sustained.
How familiar are you with that wall and on a highway in that area?
I'm pretty familiar, driven that road many times.
Okay. Are you familiar with that road 5 miles north and 5 miles south of mile marker 47.5?
Yes.
Are you familiar with the barrier, the stone wall barrier, 5 miles north and 5 miles south?
Yes.
Is there any other break?
Objection. Foundation. 10 miles.
No, I was going to go to 10 later.
You get 5 miles each way.
You step down, go outside the courtroom, both counsel come up here. What would you like to sit? Was that place right there good for you?
Yes.
Okay. And is the seat you have built into the walker that you have good enough for you?
Yes.
Okay. Can you just turn it around and face towards this side? There you go. She can sit. Go ahead.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Will you please state your name?
My name is Cecilia Duval.
Okay, and where do you live?
I live in Huilua, Maui.
Okay. And were you living there on May 29th, 2016?
Yes, I'm living there. But I don't know it was the 29th, but I know it was in May.
Of 2016? Yeah, okay. And it was like in the late afternoon?
How late it is?
Well, do you remember seeing a white SUV parked in front of your house?
Yes.
About what time do you remember that?
It was around 2, I think, or 3, around this early part.
Okay. And what were you doing in your front yard at that time?
I was cleaning and grooming my dog.
Okay, so you were in the yard?
Yes, in the front yard.
Okay. And what did you notice as far as the white SUV? Did you see it parked, or did you just notice it parked there?
I saw it parked. I heard a girl screaming, and the girl, I don't know who was screaming, but was screaming, and then his voice was saying to call the psychiatrist. And I turned around, I looked, and I saw this girl with long hair, and she was parked on the wrong side of the road, on my side, facing towards Hana. From the south, she came in, facing towards Hana. And I told her, whoever the girl was, I said, "What?" And she said, "Call the psychiatrist." I said, "No." I said, "What you need is the police station." Yeah. And then she just looked at me, and then there was this guy that came, Randolph. I told Randolph he was in the same position as her, he was going towards Hana. And I told him, "Are you going to Hana town?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Well, take them to Hana, to the police station."
And this is Randolph Castro?
Randolph Castro.
Yeah, so you already knew him?
I knew him. I know him.
Okay. I'm gonna.
She's gonna have to turn.
No.
She's gonna show her there.
Yeah, okay. But, and you live near, what part of Hana?
At Pukuilua. It's after, before Hau Road.
Oh, okay. I'm showing you, like this map here, yeah. Yeah. So your house is which house? Do you see
Yellow house. A yellow house, and then a gray house is my father's house. It's two homes.
Okay. And so it's shown there?
Yes.
Okay, you can just use your finger, and can you just make a mark on the, or circle the house that is yours? Okay, you can just make the circle. Okay, thank you. And the record reflect the witnesses compliant.
Yes.
And so when you said that she was on the wrong side, so she was coming from south, going north towards Hana Town.
Yes.
But she came over on your side of the
Yes.
house.
Yes.
Okay. So you were able to face the driver.
Yes, I seen the driver.
Okay. How far away were you from the driver when you had that?
It's like where I am now, sitting, and a car's by the door.
By the doors that are coming in?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm awful at this, Judge.
That about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 feet.
How much?
No.
To the doors that go outside the court.
Yeah, the exit door.
Okay, what everyone agrees it's estimated to be somewhere between 20 and
25.
25.
Yeah, 25.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes.
Okay, and you had a clear view into her, to see the driver?
Yes.
And she had her window down then?
Yes.
Okay. I know it's been a long time, but if you saw her again, would you recognize her?
I know her hair was kind of a little bit blondish red.
Okay, that's fine. And then you said Randolph came after she was parked.
Yes.
And he has what kind of a car?
He had a truck.
Okay, and so he pulled right behind her.
He pulled on the, he came behind her, but he parked on the side. He was parked accordingly to how the road was, where he's supposed to park facing Hana.
Okay. And when you told Randolph to take them to Hana Town, to the police, what happened after that?
And afterwards, I just groomed my dog.
Okay. Did you see them drive away?
I saw. Randolph went first.
Okay.
And then the white car followed. Because I told them to Randolph, and Randolph said, "We'll take them to the police station." Randolph said, "He will." And I told that driver, if you would follow Randolph to the police station.
Okay.
And she looked at me, and she never said a word, but she nodded her head, and that was it.
Okay. Did you see, and the other woman that was in there, where was she seated in the car?
Passenger side,
Did
in the
you-
front.
Yeah. Did you see any physical fighting between the two of them?
I just heard screaming.
Okay.
That's all.
And which of them was screaming?
The girl that was on the passenger side.
Okay. Could you make out any words that she was screaming?
No, she was yelling and yelling and yelling. And that's when the girl who was driving the car said, call the psychiatrist. I need a psychiatrist.
Okay. And with what, if you can say, what kind of like tone was the passenger screaming in? Like, what kind of emotion you can tell?
She was being very aggravated. Yeah, that person, yeah. And sounds scared too. Fearful, yeah.
Okay. And the driver, what tone of voice did she say to you, I need a psychiatrist?
She sounded like excited, anxiety, and like, I need a psychiatrist, I need a psychiatrist.
Now, why did you tell them to go to the police station?
Because I was cleaning my dog and grooming it, and is she yelling for help? She need help. I can't help her. I told her to go to psychiatry, go to the police station, because I asked Randolph if he can take them to the police station. He said he will.
Okay. Thank you very much. No further questions.
Good morning. Good morning. You said this happened at about 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the afternoon?
In the early afternoon.
Early afternoon.
Yeah.
And this car was parked in front of your property?
Yes.
But on the wrong side of the street?
Yes.
And there were 2 people in the car?
Yes.
You could see 2 people?
Yes.
And the passenger was screaming?
Yes.
Could you hear what the passenger was screaming?
No.
Just really screaming?
Yes.
It was angry screaming?
Angry screaming.
Angry screaming. But no punching or physical?
Well, I don't know what was going on because of lighting yet, but it could have been. I don't know.
Okay, so light was a little difficult for you to see?
It was difficult to see because I just saw the driver, and I saw that woman on the passenger side in the front seat, but I couldn't see her face.
Okay. But you could hear the passenger yelling?
Yes.
Angrily yelling?
Yes.
Repeatedly?
Yes.
She didn't stop yelling?
No.
And then you said the driver, you described it as yelling for help?
Well, she didn't say help, but she says she need a psychiatrist, need a psychiatrist.
Need a psychiatrist. Did she say, I need one, you need one, we need one, or just you hear just need a psychiatrist?
Need a psychiatrist, so that's it, she said.
Okay,
Need a psychiatrist, call a psychiatrist, I need a psychiatrist.
Need a psychiatrist, okay. Okay, and the car was parked the whole time?
Yeah.
This was happening? Okay. And then when you told them to follow Castro, they left?
I looked, and then after Randolph, he went first, and he told them to follow him.
Okay, and then they left?
Then they left.
In the same direction?
Yes, in the south, heading towards north.
Going towards Hana?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. No further questions.
You're welcome.
No.
Mrs. Kupawa, you may leave. Thank you very much. Please be very careful as you go out, all right?
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Safe trip back.
Not guilty. That's the verdict today in the trial of the woman accused of killing her twin sister on Maui. Alexandria Duval was charged with murder for the death of her sister Anastasia after their car plummeted off Hana Highway. Authorities say the two were fighting when it happened. Alexandria Duval's attorney argued her sister was to blame for the crash since she pulled Alexandria's hair while she was driving.
You can't imagine losing your twin sister in that kind of a tragic, catastrophic accident and then being charged with the murder of your sister, which you didn't do. And she's, I think, just very relieved at this point and is going to get on with her life.
In a statement, Maui prosecutor J.D. Kim said his office was disappointed by the judge's decision, saying, quote, "This was not an accident. It was an intentional act by the defendant to end both of their lives."